reason I wanted to be a part of this film was to work with Jeff Nichols. You know, he was someone who I'd admired for a very, very long time. So when I initially got the script sent through with his name attached, you know, that was so exciting to me. And then, you know, kind of realizing that the script was based on a photography book and these people were real and, you know, set in the 1960s, 70s, about bikers, you know, that was extremely enticing. So it was kind of all of those elements, really. And then I was very fortunate to have like 30 minutes worth of interviews of Kathy. And I remember kind of reading the script and listening to the audio and just like completely falling in love with her. She's a very exuberant woman who says exactly what she thinks. And she's an incredible storyteller. And I don't think she quite realizes how good of a storyteller she is. So, you know, when she narrates the film, she's kind of, you know, a lot of the story is told from her perspective, which I thought was really interesting. The photos are so beautiful, you know, you can't help but when you read that book, like, want to be a part of it. And I think what's so incredible about Danny is, you know, the kind of environments in which he's captured these people in. Like, with Kathy, I only had like three or two photographs of her, but there was so much that I could draw from those pictures and how, you know, you can see he's been observing and they're not aware that he's taking the pictures. And, you know, as an actor, an actress, when you're coming to do this and you're kind of trying to find every kind of little piece of information, there was actually so much that you were able to draw from the photographs. At the start of the film, we meet her and, you know, it's kind of split between present moment and past and voiceover, and she's speaking about the first time that she meets them. And when she meets them for the first time, like, she's disgusted by them and she's terrified of them, you know? She's like speaking about them having their belly buttons out and, like, you know, it's like a very kind of foreign environment for her. But then there's also the kind of excitement and the thrill of the unknown. And I think with Benny, there was kind of instant connection.
From the beginning?
Yes, please.
That was the golden age of Bikeriders.
I never felt so out of place in all my life. That's when I saw him for the first time. It took my breath away.
I'm Benny.
And then over time, it's like that novelty and that thing that initially, you know, I guess she was able to look past actually became much more dangerous and kind of damaging. And I think, you know, Kathy's had a previous marriage. She has 3 children. I think she really desires a life with Benny. And doesn't have the kind of, he has an inability to give her that. And it's interesting because I think, you know, Kathy and Johnny are both really seeking something out in Benny that he's unable to give them. He's like the nicest guy ever. And it's kind of funny because a lot of our stuff so far has been just kind of like looks to each other. Like, we've had so little dialogue. But, you know, within those moments, you have to tell so much. You know, I remember us having kind of a few conversations before we started because, you know, they've been together for, you know, quite some time within the story, but you never really get a sense of, you never see them in their private moments, and the moments that you do are so fleeting. So it was really important for us to make sure that you get an essence of their relationship, you know, the good and the bad. I remember my first day, I had no dialogue and we were all kind of sat around a campfire and it was a night shoot and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning and, you know, everyone was freezing cold and Michael Shannon had like 2 pages of dialogue and I remember like watching him for the first time and then just kind of looking around and all of us were just like, well, like we can all just go home. Like, it was incredible. It was like a masterclass, you know? And I was sat next to Austin and I was like, you know, we were kind of saying, you know, from now on, I'm just gonna think, what would Michael Shannon do? Whenever I come to a scene, like, just think, what would Michael Shannon do? There was just something very kind of confident and unaware about the way she was always poised in images, which I loved. You know, there was no kind of self-awareness, and almost kind of masculine, but then still very feminine in that her hair's done and her nails, like in she always had a red nail, and in a few of the images she was kind of checking them, and so there was kind of those beats that felt very clear and important. There's no kind of bias with her. She was witness to a lot of this, and she very much does just tell it how it is, you know, in all aspects of her life. You know, I think if you ask her a question, she's going to give you a very honest answer because she doesn't overthink it too much. So I think that enables the story to be told in a way that is more honest and more interesting. I think if the guys were telling the story, it would be, you know, it would be very, very different, and there'd be a lot that'd be cut out and maybe made to sound a little bit cooler, or, you know, the difficulties would be erased and it would be glorified, whereas she was always she was a part of it, but she was always on the peripheral, and I think she called things for what they were, you know, and I think she makes for a more reliable narrator because of that.